foreign country, right? Like making time to do hits on Fox News, two of them. Bibi Netanyahu who's fighting, I think, like an 84 front war with everyone, made a lot of time for Charlie Kirk. You would have thought they were the best of friends, as close as him and Trump were. But I will say I don't recall Erica mentioning Bibi Netanyahu in her speech.
Well, Candace, guess what? Erica didn't mention you either. And you were supposed to be his quote, unquote, best friend. So if you're going to nitpick what wasn't said, maybe start with your own name missing from that equation.
The way he's presenting it is like he was I mean, this is just the worst loss for him, but I don't think that is the truth. In fact, I know for a fact that he is misrepresenting some things that happened there towards the end. So let's at first listen to what Bibi Netanyahu, just one day, less than 24 hours after Charlie died, what Bibi Netanyahu had to say on Fox News. Take a listen.
We're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife, my family, my son, actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. Was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me.
So this letter that Netanyahu speaks of, Candace, in her live today, she did not really address it or attack it head on. She did make an implication about the letter. What she said was, I wonder how the letter was received. Maybe she said maybe email, or I'm really curious, she says, to know how the letter was received. So in my opinion, that was a way to imply that maybe there's that possibility that the letter could have been compromised. Of course, she just put it out there as she always does, and I guess people can take it and run with it. But this is why you never lie. You never embellish. You never spin a false narrative, because the truth, no matter how long it's buried, guys, will press its way to the earth. Now, Candace never expected this. She never thought the secret letter Charlie Kirk wrote to Prime Minister Netanyahu back in May of 2025 would ever leak out, but it has. So now she has to basically disqualify the letter and say, well, it was back in May. We're now in, September. Charlie lost his life September 10th. Well, there is some things that happened between May and September, and she made it abundantly clear that Charlie has changed, or Charlie had changed his stance on Israel.
Why would Bibi do that? It seems like maybe there's a little more to the story. No, there definitely is a little bit more to the story. First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real, but I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents. Like, don't start with just 2 sentences. Publish the entire thing. You're holding it. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents, that in May, Charlie was concerned about Israel and their influence on American politics and how they were pushing things that he felt were in conflict with his beliefs, free speech here in America. Bibi's holding it up like Charlie just in May said, hey, you know what? I just want to write a love letter to Israel. That's how it was presented. Would you guys agree? That's not how it happened.
Now, Candace, respectfully, the full letter has been published. It's out there in plain sight. Unless we're supposed to choke down another one of your continual conspiracy theories, the best thing we can do is just to read it verbatim. And listen, the letter's a bit long, guys. So, for your edification, I'll post the full text in the description box for you to read later. But right now, the first couple of paragraphs, because that's where Charlie lays his heart bare, and then it tells you everything you need to know. So, here it is, guys, word for word. Dear Prime Minister, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews in the fight to protect Judeo Christian civilization. Most recently, I am proud to have taken over Ambassador Huckabee's show on TVN, where we continually support Israel and the Jewish people. Then he goes on to say that it's critical that Jews and Christians stay united in the effort to contain and roll back radical Islam and Sharia law. I regret to report that anti Israel and anti Semitic trends are at record levels on social media. These negative sentiments then flow downstream into college campuses and even seep into the conservative MAGA community. Okay, so let's read the second paragraph, guys. Don't worry, I won't read the entire letter. Like I said, I'll post it for your reading later. Second paragraph. My team and I have spent months analyzing these trends and debating ideas that will help you and your country push back against these disturbing developments. Anti Israel sentiment can undermine American support for Israel. The purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. Everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel. Let me read that again. Everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. I think it's important to be brutally honest with those you love. In my opinion, he says, Israel is losing the information war and needs a communications intervention. And if this is your first time tuning into Southern Confidential, welcome. And to everyone else, welcome back. If you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video. I would really appreciate it. This story right here, this series right here, y'all, this is so deep. And now, back to our story. See, Charlie wasn't saying that he agreed with everything Netanyahu or Israel ever did. Let's be clear on that. But what he did say, undeniably, was that he had a deep love for Israel. And whether you personally love or hate Israel, that's on you, okay? The point here today is this. Candace demanded Netanyahu release the full context of the letter. Well, Candace, he did. And now Candace is left scrambling, playing a different game, questioning how the letter was written, when it was sent, even floating doubt about its authenticity as recently as today. And that's where things start to go left. I don't like Candace's editorial or journalistic maneuvers because when you've got millions of people at your disposal hanging on your every word, you don't get to spin when you're wrong. You don't get to drag your audience down a rabbit hole of denial. The responsible move is simple. You look into the camera and say, "Hey guys, I missed it. I was wrong. Charlie did write this letter in good faith out of his love for Israel. I stand corrected." But instead, Candace doubled down, dragging names through the mud and dragging her followers with her. And the disdain on her face says it all. And frankly, it's chilling, guys. So what she actually implied was that really she didn't even imply it. She straight up said it that Charlie had changed his stance on his support of Israel. So think about it, between May of 2025 and September when he lost his life, she's saying that Charlie had changed his position, his support of Israel. Now, what type of evidence she presented to substantiate that? None that I have heard or seen to date. In short, it's just another Candace conspiracy theory. And of course, it's more of them, her and her cult members and followers, than it is of everyone else. So it appears that Candace is correct about everything she's saying because she has so much support. But I believe that Candace is going to be exposed. I believe that a lot of her followers are going to really fall away regarding their support, because I believe that Candace will be exposed. My concern isn't just what happened to Candace, it's what's happening to her right now. Will she keep walking this path, becoming a vessel of dishonor, spewing out hostility towards Israel at every turn? You seem obsessed, Candace. And let me ask you directly, why Israel? Of all the nations on the map, this tiny strip of land, smaller than some U.S. states, why does Israel command so much of your rage, your energy, your late night live streams? Because let's be real, you're not hammering away at North Korea. You're not dissecting Iran or Russia or even China with the same venom. No, you've locked your sights on Israel. And isn't it interesting that now you've aligned with Ye, who hasn't exactly hidden his disdain for the Jewish people? And this is a legitimate question. What happened, Candace? When did you slide from the right into the murky middle where truth gets twisted and old friends get sacrificed? When did the fighter who once took on the establishment turn into the voice feeding confusion back to her own followers? It's troubling, it's revealing, and it raises a deeper question, because there are plenty of nations openly hostile to the U.S. Countries you never mention, never criticize, even seem to cozy up to. Yet, Israel, a tiny sliver on the map, a long standing U.S. partner in intelligence, security, and innovation, girl, that's the one you've chosen to make your obsession. And that's the question that I'll leave hanging tonight. Candace, what's really going on in your head, girl? Because from here, it doesn't look like conviction anymore. It looks more like compromise. Let's be clear. I'm not even here to say that I'm 100% on board with everything that Israel does, but I can tell you this. You may be missing something, Candace, something very important. And since you like to talk confession, Candace, maybe it's time to take this one there. Have that conversation with your priest or whomever you truly respect, because at the end of the day, truth isn't afraid of the light, but the spin doctor that you have become seems as though you're really afraid of the truth. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Southern Confidential. And if you haven't already, take a moment before you leave to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and your girl, I'll see you next time.